What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are continuing the Halloween March with Respawn Granted, RB, and today we are talking about Halloween H2O and Halloween Resurrection. So first of all, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Doing good. How about you?
Doing good. It was excited to sit down and watch these movies.
Hopefully everybody's in the Halloween horror spirit, because I know I sure as hell am.
Definitely. So, first one's Halloween H2O. That's the next one in the release line. So that's the one we're going to be talking about. Let's start off with the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is back. Very cool. Laurie Strode back. That I was very happy to see that. This takes place, I think it's like 20 years later. That's why it's called H2O.
Right.
I don't like the title. I'm just going to put
I don't
that
like
out
it either.
there. Yeah. Halloween H2O 20 years later. Okay. Let's roll with it, I guess.
Okay.
So Laurie is now, it's been 20 years. She's moved on a little bit. She has a son, teenage son played by a very young heartthrob known as Josh Hartnett. Do you remember this guy? He was in everything in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, I don't care for him, and my wife hates him even that much more.
Yeah,
She despises this movie just because he's in it.
Yeah, he's I know he was a big heartthrob back in that time.
Right.
So he was in everything. But needless to say, he's in this movie. He plays her son. And they, I believe they moved away. They went to, I want to say it was California. So they moved away, and Myers finds them. He ends up breaking into a nurse's house, kills the nurse, goes through her documents, finds out where Laurie is. He wants Laurie that bad. I don't know if he hitchhikes to California or what, but he ends up making his way out that way.
Yep.
And by the way, she works at a school. She's like a teacher or something at a school, like a private school. And and it's like, okay, I can overlook these things. Myers maybe teleported or whatever, but I'll overlook it. And
can drive. You remember the original 78?
He can drive
there, and he's driving in that station wagon. Right, he drives right by him, so he does drive. So, but I get what you're saying. I get it.
Apparently, it's easy to get your driver's license when you're in the psycho ward. I get it.
A lot of people drive illegally, but again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. But I got it. We can
let it slide.
But we could also point out again that we in the previous episode, he definitely wins the IQ battle over Jason, because kills the nurse, finds where they are based on her records, and gets to him. So keep going.
So that was smart. We have LL Cool J as the security guard at the thing. Cool. I had no problem with the character. I thought he was kind of cool. He's writing a like a fiction book and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Oh, he's on the phone with his girl or his wife talking about it. Yeah.
Cool. So pretty entertaining. I'm okay with all this.
Yeah.
And let me see. Laurie is dating someone. She's trying to, like I said, move on with her life, which is all great. The problem with this movie, there's a few things. One thing is, yeah, exactly. There's certain things that didn't fit Michael's character very well, in my opinion. Like, there's a scene in particular that comes to mind when he's in that it's like an old truck or something. He drives up to the gate and he leaves the car there with the lights on. LL Cool J comes out and starts he goes into the driver's side and starts looking to see where the driver is. There's no one there, and behind him you see Michael walk by. Now, why wouldn't Michael just kill him? Why did he just walk by him?
He's being stealthy, like.
yeah. So
I don't know, dude.
Right? It's weird. He would have killed him. You know what I'm saying? In other films, he would have killed him right there. Maybe stuffed him in the truck or something. But whatever. He sneaks in. He wants to, get into the building. Laurie's having all kinds of I guess PTSD of that of seeing Michael and stuff like that,
Yep.
which is, you know, expected because
Yep.
she survived him twice.
Yep.
So I'm okay with all that. But this movie plays a little bit of like a balancing game between him being a man and him not being a man. Like there's a scene in this movie that I remember, which was really cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's weird. Like I remember she's walking in the hallway and he lowers himself with one arm, nice and slow, like so cool, comes from the rafters and stuff. And as soon as he comes down, he gets hit in the shoulder with an axe. She turns around, hits him with the axe in the shoulder. It's like, okay, mind you, he still can fight. He can still continue battling. So it's like most people, they get hit in the shoulder with an axe. You're going to feel that, but so be it. It's weird, dude. Like I'm having trouble.
But he's a man.
That's a man.
That's what a lot of people say, that he's a man, which is why I say like situations like that proves that he's not just a man. But keep going.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't really know what to think of this movie. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't very good either. Like there's another scene where Laurie's under the I guess it's like the cafeteria. There's like a bunch of tables, and he's on top of the table, like kind of like almost like waiting to see where she is. Once he finds out, he starts like flipping tables as he's walking, and she's just crawling by. He's like clumsily like swinging the knife around trying to get her. It brought me back to like the Jason movies, you know what I mean, or like them trying really hard, like we can't have the main actress die, the main character die, she can't die. Whereas if this was anybody else, I think Myers would have killed them in that room. Like I can't see him, I've never seen him be so clumsy, you know what I mean, as I did in that scene. And it didn't fit him, it didn't fit his character.
No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, the IQ, which we talked about in the previous episode, and he shows it in this one. Certain things are a little out of character. Could have killed people when he probably would have in previous movies, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
Being a little sloppy there when he's in the cafeteria flipping over tables. I mean, at one point, I think he was flipping over tables on both sides, each row with. So. Yeah, most of the people don't make it out of there. So if you're going to put that in the movie, you better be prepared for that person to die.
Right.
Or kill that person off. And they obviously don't do it. And I get why they don't do it. But maybe you should have done a better job of not putting her in that situation, because anybody else probably would have died. But I don't think this one is bad as the one that we left off on the previous episode, which was The Curse of Michael. This is definitely better than that movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion. The Mask is debatable. I mean, we'll have to do like masks, maybe some other time. But I don't think it's as bad as The Curse of Michael Myers. I think this is a better film. Yeah. But I do agree with a lot of the points that you're touching on. I think there's some things that don't quite fit. And again, we keep saying it because it's true. It's a recurring theme. They're all over the place with the storyline, which is frustrating if you're a diehard Myers fan. It really is frustrating how all over the place they are. Excuse me, with the storyline, and some of it just doesn't make sense, and some of the things that they have him do or don't do doesn't make sense, and it's frustrating.
All right, but the thing is, so that's not to say that everything in this movie was bad. They had some great parts. Like, do you remember the scene where Myers is sitting there and he's like reaching for Josh Hartnett and his girlfriend with a knife through the fence? And then, and then when he finally gets in, Laurie had opened the door, let them in, and closes the door, and they meet face to face. Like, that was a pretty cool, like, tense moment right there. I thought that was really iconic and really nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I like too is at the end where she kind of gets her revenge. She ends up she's kind of fed up with him. She ends up she pretty much loses her mind, but she hijacks the ambulance with him in it, drives down to the wherever the hell she ends up going, and he ends up getting like pinned up against like a tree in the car, and she ends up taking his head right off. Good way to end it. And you're like, dude, you just fully killed Michael Myers. Like, there's
but she didn't.
Huh?
But she didn't.
But she didn't. You're absolutely right. And it's funny you mentioned that because my wife, when we finished H2O, I told her, I said, we're going to watch Resurrection now. And she goes, how does he come back? She's like, Laurie cut his head off. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. So let's find out what happens. Once again, I gotta give these movies credit. They're not the greatest movies in the series, but this is something they did very, in my opinion, very brilliantly. They didn't just say, oh yeah, his head grew back on or something stupid like that. What they did was they show you the end of the end of H2O again, but they show you that Michael was not actually in the mask. You remember this? Very nice, very nice little twist. He ends up getting the paramedic because this is when he fell off the balcony and he landed on the table. The paramedics, they're checking on him and stuff. Well, Myers ends up grabbing him, crushing his larynx. And the great thing about this too was at the time, I didn't know he crushed his larynx. I thought it was just, he held him up or whatever. He puts the mask on him, the costume on him, and he ends up taking his clothes. And it's funny because as we're watching this, my wife was even like, why didn't the paramedics say anything? As soon as she said that, because in the beginning it's two nurses talking because Laura's in the mental institution because she feels guilty for what she did. And right when my wife said that part, I was thinking the same thing. Why didn't he just say something? The nurse then responds to the other nurse who asked the same question, and she says, Michael crushed his larynx so he couldn't talk. So pretty nice little twist right there, man.
Continuing the theme of he has superior IQ over Jason and, well, I wouldn't say Freddy, but it's right there.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's right there. That's one thing that they have shown throughout the movies, that Michael versus Jason, he definitely wins the IQ, which would, because Michael's not human, clearly, but in my opinion, he's not. And we've seen enough proof of that for all the Michael Myers haters. You're wrong. He's not human. But that's what would make it hard for Jason to kill him, because he's that much smarter than Jason.
Yeah.
And he would find a way where Jason thinks he's killing Myers, just like they did, Laurie did, and he's not. So press on.
Yeah.
Because you're the Freddy guy. So hearing you talk about certain parts about a character that's not your favorite, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So I'll throw in my 2 cents, and I'm gonna have a lot to say about this one right here, because we're now on to Resurrection. So
yes,
I think the way they start off the movie, I agree. I think it's brilliant.
Yep.
But press on, because now we're about to get into the parts that I don't like.
Right. So here's the thing with Halloween from 4 to 5, they did a great job in the beginning showing how he escapes it, kind of keeping that idea that Michael is just human, because he didn't survive the blast in the whatever that was, the tunnel or whatever, because he ended up escaping it. He didn't survive his head getting cut off because it wasn't him. It was a paramedic that he did the old switcheroo on. Very nice. And you see that Myers sneaks off into the night dressed as the paramedic. Really cool. I love how that begins. Then the movie kind of takes a different turn. Okay, so you're already kind of smiling because I think you know, but he then comes and finds Laurie, and this scene right here, for those of you that don't know, him and Laurie up on the roof, and I liked the scene personally. I thought it was cool because she has him in a trap. He's hanging upside down by his foot. She goes over to him. She's about to cut the rope to have him fall to his death on his head. And what does he do? He does the whole, starts touching his mask. Now, for those of you that remember, the guy in H2O did the same thing. At the end of the movie, he touched his mask because he was trying to tell Laurie, I am not Michael Myers. I am someone else, and I want to take the mask off. I can't. She didn't obviously think anything of it, so she took his head off. It was the paramedic. So as soon as Myers did that, she instantly got paranoid and was like, I need to make sure it's actually you and not another switcheroo. So she goes there. She ends up reaching for the mask. He's letting her, and then what does he do? Grabs her, pulls her over, And long story short, she gets stabbed and falls to her death. That's the end of Laurie Strode as we know it in this franchise for up until this movie. And she's only in it in the beginning. I want to say 15, 20 minutes, maybe. Right around there. So I don't know if this was a plan for the whole time. Maybe like Jamie Lee Curtis couldn't do the whole movie, so they just kind of wanted to squeeze her in real quick as like a fan thing or whatever. I'm not sure. But yeah. So that's the end of her. Now you would think that's the end. He's done, right? No. Let's throw Tyra Banks and I believe it's Coolio, right?
Busta Rhymes. That's who it is. Busta Rhymes. They're going to throw a reality show.
So this was definitely different. This was
in his freaking house.
In his house. They take a bunch of strangers. They bring them into this house with little cameras on their ear. And they're going to check out the place. Try to figure out what happened and why he became the way he did or whatever. This is the big like reality show craze during that time, because I think this movie came out in what, 2000 or maybe a little before 2000. Do you have the information?
I think it's 2002. I think.
Okay, so that's still pretty big, like reality TV time right there.
2002.
Good call. So they're trying to do a reality show. Pretty much everybody thinks Myers is gone. He doesn't exist anymore, whatever. And they do it in his house. And a good majority of the movie takes place in the house. So, I know you have a lot to say about this movie in particular. This was definitely not one of your favorites.
It's not the worst Myers movie.
Agreed.
I just don't like the Busta Rhymes Kung Fu thing. Now, I did think it was a nice twist that he actually dresses up like Myers to try to scare them.
That was cool.
So I thought that part was cool. Not all of it was bad. But look, first of all, Busta Rhymes is not, man, like, thank God you're not acting anymore. At least I don't think he is, because you suck. And
wait, you didn't like the trick or treat, motherfucker?
No, I did not like that. And
dude, I'm gonna say that Halloween's in a couple of days. I'm gonna be going to people's houses.
Well, I mean, well, you could do it at the door when you're handing out candy too, right? Yeah. I mean, no, just kidding. But the Kung Fu thing didn't sit well with me. Doesn't sit well with a lot of Myers fans. Sorry, it just doesn't. If you're a casual fan, maybe. Tyra Banks, no.
She wasn't in it long either, though.
She was in it enough to annoy the crap out of me, dude.
Okay.
Sitting there drinking behind the scenes in the thing, and then she gets killed there. Yeah. Good for you. I'm glad he killed your ass there. Should have put Busta Rhymes right next to her ass. But I think the biggest problem I have, I don't mind the reality thing inside the house. I thought it was a cool twist that he was dressing up like Michael Myers. The whole Kung Fu thing. I have a problem with, they kill off Laurie Strode in that movie. And then as you can see in the reboot, they don't. So again, back to that theme where they keep rebooting it and they keep effing up the storylines.
Yeah.
At some point, they'll start off good and then eventually they'll lose their way. This is still better than the predecessor, the one before it. It was definitely a step in the right direction, a small step. It's not the worst movie. I think the one we just talked about before was worse than this. Mm-hmm. But the whole Busta Rhymes, Tyra Banks thing, I think, I just can't get past that part right there.
Yeah.
That part right there pisses me off. And the mask, not the worst.
No, not too bad.
No, I don't think it's the worst mask. Definitely not the worst mask, actually. It's not.
Yeah.
It's probably, I wouldn't say top 5, but probably like
middle
8.
Yeah.
8th of all the Myers masks. I think I would probably put it 8th, maybe 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all I got to say. Busta Rhymes ruined this movie for me. Tyra Banks was like the icing on the cake for me. The storyline wasn't that bad. I didn't think it was I think it's suicide to go do a reality show inside of a mass murderer's house. That's freaking stupid.
Yeah.
But if you're dumb enough to do it, then you're dumb enough to die. So there you go.
See, now here's the thing with this movie. Watching it, there was some parts that were pretty enjoyable. Like I actually kind of liked the like you were saying, the reality show aspect of it. I'm like, all right, I could see something like this potentially happening. I liked how certain things were kind of planned, like to make it more like Busta Rhymes even said, like there's a part where there's two people down in the basement and like the wall collapses and there's like fake dead bodies in it or whatever. Like that was kind of cool, like things like that. And I like how there's people watching it. And when Myers actually does show up and kills some people, you know, they're laughing. They're like, oh, this is fake. You know, that was so fake. I kind of liked that aspect of it. I thought that was all right. But one thing that I thought was really weird was there was like 2 or 3 scenes in this where Michael Myers uses his head to go through like a window or something instead of just like punching it like he normally would. He just like literally like headbutts the window. And I'm like, that's a little different for him. Like he's not like, why would he headbutt a window instead of like we talked about how he's a little more intelligent than Jason, but there's 2 scenes where he like headbutts windows. So I was a little thrown off with that. I'm like, you can't use your hands, dude. When he kills, I think it's the first guy. No, the second guy, because the first guy he kills with the bottom of the camera, which that was right. Cool. But then the other guy jumps through the mirror and grabs him, dude. I actually kind of jumped. I wasn't ready for that. So jumping through the mirror, I'm like, dude, that was a good one. So this one I think had 1 or 2 pretty good jump scares in it, which I thought was interesting. But is Myers really known for jump scares? Not really, right? Like that's not really his bread and butter. It's more like stalking and creepy.
It's not,
right?
but it's not really his bread and butter. But I don't have a problem with evolving.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Changing up, like he's adapting, like doing whatever he's got to do to get the people out of his house. Right. I don't have necessarily a problem with that. Again, I don't think this is the worst movie. I think the other one before this was a lot worse. Mm-hmm. This movie left me conflicted in so many different ways because it had potential. Yeah. Because I liked the storyline, but the casting was, you know, Busta Rhymes. Like, come on, man. Like, and it's not even. If you're watching this, don't say that I'm racist because I'm not. You don't know me from a hole in the wall. It has nothing to do with it. Like if it was actually Coolio, like you said, I would have been perfectly fine with it. Like I just Busta Rhymes, like anybody who knows, like you've said it. He's not a very good actor. Neither is Tyra Banks. So stick with what you're good at, rapping and being a model. Don't get into the movie industry because you suck at it.
Well, see, here's the thing with the movie, it seems like they kind of like I got the feeling, I don't know if it's true or not, who the hell knows, but I felt like Jamie Lee Curtis couldn't be in the movie much. That's why she was kind of taken out early in the movie. I felt like Tyra Banks, same thing. She was in it a little bit. Then there's a lot of silence, like from her. You don't see her anymore. And then it comes to that part where the main actress there goes into the behind the scenes room and she's hanging. So it's almost like she had to stop. Like maybe something else came up and they had to kill off her character. And then with Busta Rhymes, I almost feel like because he was a big celebrity, they wanted him to be at the end. You know what I mean? Like I felt like the movie kind of catered to it because even when you think he dies, he then busts in at the end of the movie through the door and ends up, I mean, he doesn't really beat up Michael Myers, but he saves the day. He like hits Michael Myers and he ends up backing up. And the other thing too is Myers is very like robotic in this movie. It's weird. Like he gets kicked by Busta Rhymes. He backs up. He keeps his hand up and he's like, and goes into the wires and gets electrocuted and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then there was another scene where he's downstairs. There's 2 people in one room, 1 person on the stairs. And he like turns to like start going after somebody that's on the stairs, I believe it is, even though there was somebody in a trapped room that he could have just ended right now because they couldn't get out. It was a closed room. And speaking of closed rooms, Michael Myers is kind of a big dude. They never really explain how he gets from how, like, he moves around the house and he doesn't bump into, what is it, like 8 people? Isn't that, I think it's 8 people that are in the house.
Something like that.
Yeah, that house isn't a mansion, dude. It's like a 2-story regular house. So how the hell is Myers moving around a guy that big and no one's seeing him or bumping into him unless he's wanting them to because he's killing them. You know what I mean? That's another thing I found kind of weird. I'm like, how is this guy moving around? Is there secret passages or something that we don't know about? Or
apparently,
what? Yeah. Apparently. And then you got the the guys, one of the kids is texting the girl, messaging her, telling her where he is. I thought that was all right. I was okay with that, kind of giving her information because she's letting them know like this is real. I'm sorry, dude, that trick or treat motherfucker, that was funny, dude. And then
he do the whoa!
Yeah.
No, come on.
And then he ends up like attacking the reporters. Remember that when the reporters are like asking questions, he ends up like taking out the camera and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's
like I just said, it's one of those movies that it's not the worst one, but it leaves you conflicted where there was great opportunity here.
Yeah.
And they didn't really seize it. So, I mean, that's where I'm going to end it off with these two because one was completely horrible. This one was a little bit better, but could have been great. But for whatever reason, maybe, like you said, maybe Laurie couldn't do it anymore or didn't want to do it anymore. Whatever the reasons were, this movie had great potential, unlike the one before it. But they kind of dropped the ball at some point throughout this movie. It stumbled to the end, really.
And speaking of the one before it too, she has a son. No mention of a son. It's like
he disappears.
Yeah, he's gone, and we never hear from it again. It's so much so that when they reboot it, they change it to a daughter. Not even a son; it's a daughter now. So I don't know. It's honestly, dude, rewatching these movies, I kind of I feel like most of them are like, if we were to rate it 1 out of 5, right? I feel like most of them fit in that 3 range, that 3 stars. You could do worse, you could do better. They're fun to watch for a while. Nothing crazy. Just turn off your brain and just watch them, and just nothing to really like, you're not going to sit there and really have huge nostalgia over most of these. And you're just they're going to kind of just blend in. I feel like that's pretty much where a lot of these movies are for the Halloween series, except for a couple of them that, for me personally, that really stand out, that will be in that 4 or 5 range. But most of these other ones, dude, they're in that 3, some even a little lower than 3. They're okay, not bad. Could do worse.
Well, the one before this one was definitely below 3.
Yeah. I thought, there were certain things that were below 3, but I like the idea a little bit better of the other one, I guess, if you wanted to continue the story with Laurie and all that.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that's it for these two. I think I don't really have much else to add to them. I mean, I'm just glad they're only about an hour and a half long.
Like they're average movies. They're not bad. It's just sad that there was potential in both these two movies, and especially even this one, and they just kind of dropped the ball, which was kind of like an inconsistent. Like, they've been inconsistent with this franchise, and hopefully it gets into the right hands and somebody can resurrect it and put it on the right path and keep it there. Yeah. But we want to hear from you. What you guys think? Is it H2O? Is it Resurrection? Which one's worse? Which one's better? Let us know, and why.
And kind of touching on what you said about him not being human, there is a scene in this movie where, if you remember, he rolls out of a window with a cord around his neck and falls, and he's hanging. That would have snapped most people's necks. It didn't snap his. So
for the ones that argue that he's human, it's just because you're just a hater of a certain character, because there's enough tidbits throughout these movies that would indicate that this man's not just a man. He's more than that.
The only thing is, with Resurrection, it seems like this actually does finally kill Michael in this set, because this is the last one from the older sets, the older movies, because then from here on out, we then jump quite a few years ahead. And we go to the Rob Zombie ones, which is going to be in the next video. We're going to talk about Rob Zombie's first one and second one. So that's it for us, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Keep your, if you haven't seen the other ones, please watch the other ones. Keep your eyes open for the next one. And let us know what you think about all these guys. We'd love to hear it. And we'll catch you on the next one. Later, guys.
Peace.